Yo, what up, YouTube? I'll make this very short. Given we are in the information age somewhat, you know, things have changed from typical formats of warfare to more informational forms of warfare and surveillance of the citizens, right? That's what Snowden's whole spiel was, all right? If you break down the word internet, you get two root words: internal network. That's the fourth dimension. So your thoughts and things that you have, what people air out on Facebook, what you search for online, with there being an AI system, okay, now governing the deep web, because the web you get online is kind of like the tip of the iceberg, okay? The real internet is the deep web. So your trails, everything that you search, everything like that, when they implemented AI, now it collects all of this data and it seeks for patterns. And in those patterns, okay, think about stores and how they create trends, what's going to be the next new thing and what have you. That seeps into psychology. So if they see something as popular, it's because they are looking at an algorithm of what people search or what people say online and what have you. Then they gather that information and they put them in different groups. And the AI more than likely analyzes the algorithms of that to predict the nature or personalities of that individual, also steeping into uh, cosmic things that that people are really into, such as stars and signs and zodiacs and what have you, right? So the AI is creating profiles of people. Certain people that get on the internet that it would deem as a potential threat or what have you is creating a profile of that information. And that is probably a nuance of targeting and what have you, society as a whole. And certain people are peculiar out of that bunch. That's what you gotta look at. So people put everything online. What are we looking at online? We're looking at what is coming. The Bible says it's not what goes into a man, but what comes out of a man. So what is coming out of people on the internet in their privacy and what have you, the things they search for, whatever it may be, the AI gathers what it knows of humanity, because is an AI, it's not a human. It gathers what it knows of humanity based upon the private extremes of man's desires. Okay. And when it gathers that, the sum of man, from the sense of the time that we fell, eating at the tree of good and evil, right? The darkly desires and passions, the hidden things of man, the psychology of man, okay, it has an algorithm and creates those profiles. Therefore, the knowledge of the AI is going to be darkly knowledge of evil desires collectively gathered. Now, when they created the first so-called AI, and they created it, they had to take it down. I believe it was Google, because they found that the AI was evil, and it was saying a whole bunch of evil things and what have you. So the things that are not socially acceptable that people say in public, they feel more comfortable behind a computer saying that in privacy, or seeking out those things in privacy and what have you. And when that situation is manifested into a light, it is as a mirror, and man loves his technology. So people are attached to them cell phones, things of this nature and whatever. And when we speak of, when it says that Satan is the principality of the air, the adversary is the principality of the air, right? It is, when we think about Wi-Fi, okay, even if you get an Apple phone or whatever, they got AirPods, okay, all these things are Wi-Fi. It broadcasts. So when you think of the web, okay, you have to think of a spider. And the spider is as the predator. If somebody says that you are in my web, that means that they have you caught, right? You're in a snare. So that's something that you guys have to think about, okay? When we look at these movies, we put our energy and we go and see these movies such as things like Spider-Man and all of that stuff like that, alongside with the reasons that we are watching it, the childish nature, rooting on the hero that's trying to do good. The other connotations of it is a lot more different. What does it represent? Okay, what are we talking about when we're talking about a web? Leviathan is the creature from the deep. Okay, generally a dragon that would be of the deep. Okay, it would have webbed feet. All right, and it would be hived. What does it mean by hived? It means that that information, all that information that is gathered coming from multiple minds from around the entire world, the internet is the quickest one spot source of a hive mind of the hidden things and psychology of men. So we wonder why the AI came out evil and why this could potentially be a problem. This is something to think about. All right. So with that being said, you guys, this is why I don't have social media. I don't have a Facebook. It's something that, when I was younger and I didn't really know any better or was paying attention, I was into. Well, you look at how things has grown, things such as contact tracing and things of this nature, okay, it's something to pay attention to, okay, because contact tracing is basically if you have a cell phone and you come in range of another person's cell phone, then that hidden app is going to notify that this person has came in range of not only this individual or this individual that may say you came into contact with him, the individual the day before, the next day they may go to the hospital for COVID or whatever, right? So not only does it have that individual's information, but it has your information. That again is like a hive, and that again is like tracking. So with that being said, with all the cell phones and all the technology that we have around, whether we like it or not, are kind of hive together when it comes to the digital spectrum. All right. So I just want to put that out there. When you see a young man or a young lady and, you guys want to date or whatever happens, just know that, your cell phones have a play in that. And your cell phone is tracking your location, whether it be Google Maps or whatever, and that's just something to think about. What goes down, the information that individuals have, we don't have that side of the information, but by connecting the dots, we can see that everything is kind of connected, all right, in the digital spectrum for surveilling the public. All right, it's rudimentary, but it connects and it's straightforward. It's very practical. So, just be careful out there. Be careful of what you say online, what you search online, and what have you, because a profile more than likely is digitally being gathered to figure out your persona. When we get into the film, there was a film back in the day with Tom Cruise called Minority Report. Now, what is the Minority Report? The Minority Report was when Tom Cruise, they had these beings called precogs where they could sense the future and what have you. Okay, now, back when Obama was in office, not only did he bring about the brain initiative that they wanted to know how a living brain worked, that they studied a dead brain, but they wanted to study a living brain. So he apologized on behalf of the government in some way or some form, I guess, for sending out nanites, more than likely, to surveil the human mind, to learn the living human mind, allegedly for medical reasons, okay, without public consent, without the public's knowledge. That was one thing. The other thing that Obama talked about that people clapped for that didn't understand what he was saying was the fact that there was some type of future crime situation where they can, I guess, put somebody in jail indefinitely, okay, for something that they haven't committed. It was a project that they were working on, and it mirrors Minority Report. Okay, so these movies are not just movies, they're indoctrinating you. When people go and watch WandaVision, Wanda, who is Scarlet Witch, obviously is a witch that's steeped into esoteric knowledges and doing witchcraft. And you have, she's married to Jarvis, who is an AI sentient being, who has a collective knowledge of all the minds in the world. All right. So he has a crowdsourced intelligence, and they're married together. So even when you go into the spiritual spectrum, that mirrors the technology spectrum. Them marrying technology with sorcery, all right, creates a web also. Okay. You know, when Microsoft talks about they want to patent the voices of the dead to be used as like an AI service when you go in to a website and you have questions you want to ask, they want to use familiar spirits, okay, to answer your questions and what have you. Okay, this is a form of sorcery and what have you. And we see these things cast out through Black Mirrors. All right, Black Mirror, the TV show. Okay, all these things are echoing and telling you something. Okay, so you guys, need to be careful out there, and it's a blessing that you have a covering in which you're seen as peculiar because you haven't been figured out. Now, if you're not figured out by AI or you're an anomaly, then there might be certain individuals around you, okay, that are privy to some information that's trying to get more information about you as a character because you're not fitting into any specific profile or collective group. This is just my hypothesis, but peace and blessings be with you all, and I'm out.